Hello. Today we are going to be talking about ordering fractions from least to greatest. Step 1 is to locate our list of fractions. So for this example problem, we are going to be using the fractions 1/2, 3/4, 5/8, and 8/12. The first step is to divide 1/2. We are going to use our calculator to divide 1 by 2. And what do we get when we divide 1 by 2? We will get 0.50. So 1/2 in decimal form is 0.50, so be sure to write this down on your paper. Next, we are then going to divide 3/4 because this is the next fraction in our list of fractions from the example problem in the beginning. So we are going to use our calculators to divide 3 by 4. And what do we get when we divide 3 by 4? We will get 0.75, so 3/4 in decimal form is 0.75. So be sure to write this down on your paper as well. Next in our list of fractions is 5/8, so we are going to divide this next. So divide 5 by 8 using our calculator. And what do we get when we divide 5 by 8? We will get 0.625 as a decimal, so 5/8 in decimal form is 0.625. So be sure to write this down on your paper. Then we are going to divide 8/12 because this is the final fraction in our list of fractions. So we are going to divide 8 by 12 using our calculators. And what do we get? So when you divide this in your calculator, you'll get a long number with 0.6 repeating followed by 7 at the end. So to simplify this number into an easier decimal to work with, we will put 0.67. So 8/12 in decimal form is 0.67, so be sure to write this down on your paper. Now we are going to look at the decimals that we have calculated. We have that 1/2 as a fraction in decimal form is 0.50. We have that the fraction 3/4 is 0.75 in decimal form. The fraction 5/8 is 0.625 in decimal form, and the fraction 8/12 is 0.67 in decimal form. So the final step when we are calculating these fractions into decimals is that we are going to use the decimals we have calculated to organize the fractions from least to greatest. So we look, as we talked about, that 1/2 in decimal form is 0.50, 3/4 in decimal form is 0.75, 5/8 in decimal form is 0.625, and 8/12 in decimal form is 0.67. So when looking at these decimal numbers, we can see that the smallest fraction is 1/2 because its decimal equivalent is 0.50, which is our smallest decimal number when looking at our current list. We see that the next fraction in our list of fractions is going to be 5/8, which is 0.625 in decimal form. We have the next fraction in our list is 8/12 because this is 0.67 in decimal form, which is our third largest decimal number. And finally, the largest fraction in our list of fractions is 3/4 because this is 0.75 in decimal form. So we have our order of fractions from least to greatest is 1/2, followed by 5/8, followed by 8/12, and finally 3/4. So we can use this method of converting fractions to decimal form by dividing the fractions using our calculators when completing our fraction worksheet. We can use the decimal forms of fractions to guide us to see which fraction is the smallest in the list of fractions, followed by the second, third, and finally the largest decimal and fraction number. We can use this method when completing problems with a list of 2 fractions, 4 fractions, such as in this example problem, or even 10 or more fractions in a list. Once we get all of our fractions from each list of fractions for each problem into their separate decimal forms, we can order them from least to greatest by looking at our smallest decimal number, followed by the second, third, and finally the largest decimal number.